Hello everyone, my name is Gustavo Tepetla. I am a UCLA VAPAE teaching artist. I am also a local artist from Los Angeles and a designer. Today's class will focus on preparing your space. And what I mean by preparing your space means preparing your space whether you're a performing artist, a formal teaching artist, or if you will be working on tutorials. The first question you must ask yourself is, what is your style? Are you a performing artist, a formal teaching artist, or showing tutorials today? So the first thing we're going to focus on today is preparing your space for a performing artist. So if you are a performing artist, you are going to need a lot of space. And also keeping in mind that you need to stay within frame, and within frame means staying within the space of the camera that you're working with. So the first thing you have to do is prepare your area, make sure that it's free from any obstructions, which we will cover here. So as a performing artist, I would need to stay within frame. And my frame is between the space here from this dry erase board to the end of this dry erase board. So this here would be my entire space to perform so that I can stay in space for the camera while I'm performing. Making sure that it's free of any obstructions, and that I'm always being mindful to look at the camera whenever I'm performing. Now in this case, my camera is actually set up right in front of me here. So I have a camera directly filming what I'm going to be doing in terms of my performance. I also have lighting set up, which you can see here. So my lighting is set up right overhead because we want to be as natural as sunlight as possible so we don't have any odd looking shadows. Unless you're looking for a more theatrical type of lighting, then you might want to get the intensity of your light as high up as possible, which we can do and adjust. That will create a little more of a theatrical feel, and we'd also want to make our light a little more yellow or whatever color tone that we wish to go with. But in terms of this presentation, we're going to keep it low. And this is our space here. Again, this is for a performing artist space. So as wide open as possible. So if you're dancing, you have enough room where the camera can capture all of your body, or if you're doing any type of groundwork or floor work, you're still able to take up this space and stay within frame of the camera. So the next thing on our list here is formal instruction. Now for formal instruction, you're gonna follow me this way. All right, so now we're gonna get into formal instruction and setup. So the first thing you're going to want to do is place your camera just a couple of feet in front of your space where you're going to be conducting your instruction. And I want you to take a focus in on here, because this is your camera that you'll be setting up. So you want to make sure that you are getting the desk and then your seating area. And we would definitely want to go up a little higher here so that we don't show our legs underneath. So that way we're only showing waist up. And then anything in the background would be your teaching space. Whether it be a presentation, you have boards or dry erase boards or any type of posters that you have in the background that you're going to be using to teach, or if you're just going to be looking directly into the camera and having a lecture style format. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take a seat here. And so this way you are here, waist level. Desk will be hopefully at your arm's length or elbow length here. And then this way, if you wish to be moving your hands during your instruction, you're able to do so. Some instructors do not like to show their hands, so they'll shoot from the chest up. So chest up and just a close up, depending on the style. So if it's a lecture, definitely more waist up or chest up would be preferred. But if you're doing some type of presentation where you are working with your hands, perhaps you have something that you're modeling or trying to show your students. This can be for drawing, modeling, perhaps even pottery or different styles of arts and crafts that you'll be working with. So this would be definitely the preferred style of teaching, which again is your formal style of teaching. And now from this setup, this is actually the perfect setup to transition into a tutorial. And when you're doing tutorials, whether you are drawing on a canvas or your preferred medium, this is the perfect place for you to set up your other tripod. And you could actually be using the same tripod that you're working on with now and simply tilt it at an angle so that it's an overhead camera facing down. And this would definitely show your working space as well as your hands so that you can guide your students with your hands, or if you're just trying to show them what you were drawing, I think this is the preferred method. So we're gonna get into that setup now. So again, this is the same tripod, same camera. All we're doing is placing it on top of our desk, just making sure that everything is secure so it doesn't fall down. And my preferred method is to actually have these two front legs here. So it gives me plenty of space to draw in the front, and having this one more leaning towards the back end. Then all we're gonna do is pivot our camera downward to cover our teaching space. And of course you can adjust this up and down, whatever you prefer. If you want to capture a larger area, obviously you want to raise this up as high as possible. If you want to do some up close shots of your hand, then you'd want to get this as low as possible. A very important thing to keep in mind is your camera setup. Be sure that your camera is recording, and also be sure that your camera is set up so that when you are recording, it doesn't come out upside down. But in the case that it is upside down, it is something that can be corrected later on during your post-production, which is another class that we will get into in a future tutorial. So in the meantime, we'll just focus in on this, which is your setup. So again, keeping within the constraints of the camera, so your hands aren't going outside, or any objects that you have placed are not outside of the frame of the camera. So this is a perfect example with a demonstration, which we'll be able to see. So these are my two buildings here and a road. But again, this is something that you can do so students can follow along while you're doing your tutorial. And this can be arts and crafts, so you could actually, like one of my past tutorials, I was teaching students how to make paper airplanes, but also within the lesson plan, sharing with them the importance of aviation, and then also design, like working on collages, trying to implement as much as possible with my students, giving them as much information as possible as well, so that they understand all the different dynamics of aviation, thermodynamics, and so forth. But yeah, this served perfectly well. This setup is perfect for that, because now your students are able to engage with you in terms of like seeing what you're actually doing with your hands, how things are being done. And you can choose to work very slowly when you're working in these in this type of setup, so that your students are able to see what exactly it is that you're doing. So with that being said, be mindful not to cover what you are doing while you're doing your teaching instruction. So there we have it, a paper airplane. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Gustavo Tepetla. I am your UCLA VAPAE teaching artist. Please stay in touch, stay connected. You could do so by following us on Instagram at UCLA VAPAE or #UCLA VAPAE. If you have any questions at all about any of the tutorials that you've seen today, please be sure to stay in touch, stay connected. Ask questions, leave some comments, follow. Thank you so much. Take care.